Yeah, good morning once again, good people. I'm here again, Reverend Kanyoni, in our morning devotion. And our title of our focus today is Let's Focus on the City to Come. Praise the Lord. We are going to get this from Hebrew chapter number 13, verse 10 to 14. The Bible says, "We have an altar from which the priests in the tabernacle have no right to eat. The high priest carries the blood of animals in the most holy place as a sin offering, but the bodies are burned outside the camp." Verse 12. "And so Jesus also suffered outside the city gate to make the people holy through his own blood. Let us then go to him outside the camp, bearing the disgrace he bore. For this world is not our permanent home. We are looking forward to a city yet to come." Praise the Lord. God has called us in this ministry, and as the Bible continues to teach us, theme of this diocese, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, that I have been called in this God's vineyard to continue serving him in an acceptable manner, a service that will never bring shame to us. So let us continue doing our best as we do mission work in our church and also outside this church. The constant theme we get from Hebrew is the supremacy of this Jesus. And if nothing else, the readers need to know that Jesus Christ is the authority of all authorities. And we have been learning that as we serve this God, it is a King of Kings who has all the authority, the high priest, the leader and the King of Kings. This writer gives us the direction and encouragement, attempting to bring readers closer and more closer to the reality of what it means to call Jesus Christ the Lord of our lives. So people of God, because God has given us mission work in our church and also outside, we see in this altar, it is where we bring our sacrifices, where the priest does the ceremony of doing the sacrifices, and then what is burned is taken outside there. That is what it was done in the Old Testament. The most holy place, it is essentially the temple, and is known not just as a place where people come together to worship, but it is literally viewed as a place where your salvation resides. That is why every Sunday we come to this church. It's the physical building. The geographical location matters where your salvation is. St. Christopher's, people of God, is our identity. We are being identified with this church. This is where we bring our sacrifices in this altar. This is where the priests does the sacrifices. At this temple, sacrifices are regularly offered by priests on behalf of the people as an atonement for sins and wrongs. So people, have you bring your offerings in this altar? It is the work of us, the priests, to continue sacrificing as an atonement for the sins and the wrongs of the people. But once the sacrifices were done, the carcasses of the animals were taken out somewhere and they were burnt outside the city and burnt. It was like removing the trash from the church. An altar is very important, people of God. Whatever we bring here for sacrifices, people of God, let us bring the best. Let us do our best, and let us bring the best, because we are serving this God who has given us this wonderful privilege to be his children and to continue serving him in his vineyard. This outside place was originally unclean and defiled because it is where the animal carcasses were burnt. Jesus was not crucified inside the cathedral, people of God. So it is outside there that today in our morning devotion I'm calling you upon, that we move out of our comfort zone. We move outside there in the marketplace to preach the gospel of the good news to the people. There are so many people who are waiting for us out there. There are so many people who are suffering out there. And they are looking at us. And because God has promised us an unshakable kingdom, and he has given it for us today and for the future, those people who are out there, they are desperate. They are challenged by this life, but they are looking upon us, people of God. So as we give to the church services, let us also bear in mind that we are also required outside there, where Jesus was crucified, He was crucified in the marketplace at the crossroad. So we are also required out there as Christians. We are not only required in the church, but we are also required outside there. Let us leave our comfort zone, brethren, people of God, because there are people who need our services out there, where the carcasses, after doing the sacrifices here, whether the carcasses were put outside there because our church need to be clean. Let us leave our comfort zone. When we do this, we don't become absent of desires and loves and comforts, but those things start to look more and more like the desires and loves and comforts and hopes, dreams of Jesus Christ himself, who has called us to be his co-workers in his vineyard. And verse 12 says, as verse 12, and if we claim Christ as the Lord of our lives, then we must look to those being marginalized out there. God has called us for a mission, good people. Christ himself was cast out and marginalized. He chose to become an outsider for our salvation. What about us, people of God? We also need to be outsiders for the salvation of people who are marginalized, who doesn't receive justice, who doesn't have peace. They are looking upon us as Christians. And because we have been promised a future, let us other people see the future in us as Christians, in our places of work, in this nation where people are so desperate. Let the people see hope by seeing us. Christians love their families, as we find in verse 14. Christians love their families, their spouses, their jobs, and even churches. But their sight should be set far ahead. Let's focus on the ball. And the ball is the cross of Christ. Let us see beyond the horizon. Christians should be more characterized by looking up into the future. We should not love our present home today. Let us not conform to this world so much we lose sight the future that God has promised us. Many blessings. The city that we look forward when we meet Christ outside the gates, that is the city we are looking for out there. This is what it means to call Jesus Christ the Lord of Lords. When you meet this kingdom outside the city gates, when you do this, when you serve those who in society are deemed outsiders, you go to where Christ is. Christ was crucified at the marketplace. That is where also our services are needed. Christ was crucified at the crossroad. People of God, as we give service, because God has called us to be his co-workers in the vineyard, let us focus in the outside city. And you go where Christ is, you begin to see the world of true justice of those oppressed, those who need peace. Families doesn't have peace. They need you as a Christian today. Jesus, that is what Jesus can bring. In our Kenya today, brethren, many needs encouragement. Families are breaking. Children are dropping out of school because of poverty. Many are sick and hopeless out there. What are you doing as a Christian? We have been called for a mission today. Do something. That is the city that we need to occupy. We need to occupy that city where people are suffering. Let us be seen there as we walk and work with them. And as I conclude, people of God, this morning, we have been called to mission outside there. The services we render to those people who are in need of our services. People of God. Verse 15, Hebrew chapter 13 says, therefore, let us offer through Jesus Christ a continual sacrifice of praise to God, proclaiming our allegiance to his name. And don't forget to do good and to share with those in need. These are the sacrifices that pleases God. We have been saying, let us serve God acceptably. May God accept our praises. May God accept our sacrifices as we serve others out there who are in need of hope, who are in need of giving a future, a bright future, who are in need of peace, who are in need of justice. May God help us today and days to come as people of our church. And we shall continue speaking about this, that God has called on his vineyard. Let us work very hard and do our best as we serve others, and as we continue the King of Kings in this sanctuary. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
O Christ, our King, with humble heart I pray, in thanksgiving. giving guide my steps each day. Your mercy vast, your love my soul's delight. In your salvation find eternal life.